Hello and welcome to the Digital Digest, your weekly breakfast of insights, tips and tricks and general information that will help anyone trying to move things forward in this digital world of accounting. This show is brought to you both by Digital Disruptors and SB Digital, which are pushing the boundaries in this digital accounting space. I'm your host, Ryan Pearcy, and this episode is on our new series about AI in the accounting space. And I'm lucky enough to be joined by Rebecca Williams from both eAccounting and Rebecca's Finance Tutorials, as she is kicking something off from her side on the social media platforms on her experiences with AI, and we can learn a little bit more about that as we progress onwards. Probably should flag, Rebecca is on a workation with lots of others in the accounting space, and you'll probably hear them in the background as we kind of do this recording. So my apologies if there is some background noise from her and my side, but we'll just carry on regardless. So look, let's crack on to AI. It's obviously had a big impact historically in certain areas of the accounting space. But it's more recently that actually it's come to the fore. Cloud accounting seems to become the norm, and AI is now the new thing that everyone's after. So, Rebecca, I'll kind of bring you into the conversation. How would you define now what you would understand as AI?
So, from my understanding now, I would say, the use of any tool, such as Copilot, as I say, ChatGPT is the other one. But some of these platforms that essentially you can use to, almost auto-generate. So whether that be information or whether it be another source of data, essentially to do some of the jobs, maybe some of the manual jobs that you would have done before, but in different ways. So Copilot in terms of Microsoft and Word and Excel and Outlook as well, and auto-generative text and auto-generative AI imagery is what I think about now. But I'm always, as you know, always keen to see what else it can do.
Yeah, well, AI and automation have always kind of overlapped, and it's been hard to distinguish historically between one and the other. And I know that software providers have been using the term AI when probably it's not had much AI, if any, in the back end. But if we kind of backtrack a little bit, going even as simple as optical character recognition, so the likes of text auto entry where they're extracting information from a document, that involves AI to some extent. And then we've had the zero bank feeds where it's trying to, as you say, do some prediction. There's some AI language in there, but I guess where it's really kicked on is since the likes of ChatGPT came out. Those large language models, as you said, the image creation, anything where it's brought creativity to some extent into I guess an automation process. We now, as probably an entire population around the world, now understand that as being what we kind of classify as AI. But we'll talk a little bit about different AI attributes throughout this discussion, and maybe where it may head, and some other tools that are really trying to push the boundaries in this space as well. But I guess something where I started to really see it take effect, and I don't know if this is something you use, Rebecca, but where you go into meetings nowadays and you've got like fireflies that have been added as a note taker, and it's like you're talking to a bot, and they're just extracting information and then interpreting it for others. Is that something you're using yet in your business?
Yeah, so this is the thing. So there's two elements of that there's three elements of that I'm using online. There's three. So we use something called Otter AI, and that is a transcript model that again can be added to Zoom, to Teams, to phone calls, etc., and it will transcribe that text for you. But the difference is that it also produces reports as if you were preparing, a post-meeting agenda in Word, for example. So that's a massive time saver. But with all of the AI usage like that, I can't think what the other one's called now. It works 95% of the time. It's not 100% accurate yet. And it does come out with some wacky and wonderful things. So there's still that element of human touch where you've got to review that data and make sure that that is correct. But it is a massive advantage to be able to go back to those notes that would have taken you hours in the first place to write up, or if you just want to go back and check, did we discuss that, or what were the key points? And something I'm doing at the moment is I'm using Otter AI to record a meeting, transcribe for me, and then I'm putting it into Copilot and saying to Copilot, right, summarize the key points for me. Give me that. Do I need to put something in the diary? What was the the highlighted topic? What was the tone of the topic, etc. So I'm using everything at the moment to get that process sort of streamlined. Hacking the journey.
I think that well, that's it. Hacking the journey is a great phrase, and something that I think we should be talking about a lot more, especially in this accounting space where recruitment's such a challenge at the moment. So you've touched on a couple of areas which have made, I guess, the likes of ChatGPT more corporate, more business, which is the Microsoft Copilot, Google Copilots of the world, and it's brought that generative AI into the standard platforms we use, Excel, Outlook, Word. And I know from a discussion that we've had already that you're starting to bring this into your practice in full. So can you talk a little bit about that, please, Rebecca?
Yeah, so we'll go back to that key decision making. So I'm at a certain pinnacle point in the practice where it's who do I hire? At what level do I hire? Do I need to bring in somebody who's admin? Do I need to bring somebody who's an apprentice, who's qualified? What does that look like? And so for the past sort of 3 months or so, I've been highlighting, what admin tasks I do. And it can be something as simple as writing up notes post-meeting, or scheduling stuff in the diary, or simply looking at what's coming on my messages across different social media platforms on a Friday, and then making those adjustments, or, scheduling podcasts or replying, etc., to those things. So all of that I've been highlighting, and it got to a point where I thought, okay, maybe I need to hire somebody who's an admin assistant to do those jobs for me. But what I've actually realised is that I can do it through AI, and I don't necessarily need an admin assistant because Copilot is my admin assistant now. So that's really interesting.
And I guess from what you're saying, it's not just the AI side; it's the integrating of different platforms. That tech stack, and utilizing AI through that journey.
Yeah, and I'll have to say, it's been a painful journey. It's not been a smooth journey. And we've tested things that really don't work, or we've got to a point with an app, or what we would think that's our final app stack, and then realise that it doesn't. Not everything talks to each other, and it doesn't work. And so we've got to then go test other things and see how they work, which takes time. But the long-term time saving of doing that far outweighs that initial pain point. But I think that's sometimes where a lot of bookkeepers and accountants fall down, because they think, oh, AI is going to do everything for you and it's going to be a quick fix. And it's like, it's not necessarily the case. Maybe long term, once you've got that nailed, but you need to go through the pain points to see what it can do and how you can use it, which we've been through. So one of the key messages from all of this is that I'm trying to share that information so that others don't have to go through as much pain, I guess.
Yeah, and any digital transformation is painful, and it's all about, as we've said, the kind of end goal, your destination. And nowadays, that destination is always slightly further away. You're having to iteratively change, iteratively evolve how you operate. And the critical thing is that, we are a community and we want to learn from each other. So as much as we can, we should share and collaborate. And I know that you're launching a new platform to share your journey. Is that right?
Yes. So that's on TikTok, Microsoft AI Tutor. So legitimately anything that I learn, I'm posting a quick video, reducing it down to about 10 seconds as a quick win, because I know people don't have a lot of time on their hands. They just want to know, what does it do? How does it do it? Is that going to be something I can use? So I'm posting that, but from the viewpoint of somebody who is thoroughly using and integrating AI in the day-to-day and what that sort of looks like. So I'm sharing that journey bit by bit, but it's a fun journey. It's interesting to see what it can do and what it can't do, and I'm really pushing the boundaries on what it can and cannot do. So for instance, at the moment, I don't know if you've used Copilot yet in its full form, but I've noticed it cannot currently schedule meetings in, but it can tell you when to post or when to add those meetings into Outlook. So I'm hoping that's going to be added to the roadmap. But there's little things like that I'm just highlighting. This is what it can do, this is what it can't do. So you might need to use something in the interim, or just all of that really. It's interesting to see. But that's not just across the dashboard with Copilot. Is what can you do with Word in it, and what can you do in Excel? Excel I'm more interested in because, as you know, I love Excel. So yeah, I'm using that to test the boundaries and see if it can produce tables using VLOOKUP and XLOOKUPs or pivot tables, and can it filter, and can it then extract that data and consolidate it elsewhere in another workbook? All of that. So yeah.
Well, look, from my little bit of playing with the Excel side, it was quite minimal. There was, I think, once you had stuff in the table, it could do some summary. There was a really good reconciliation program. So if you've got it in the right structure, doing a reconciliation and identifying the differences, which going back as accountants is a huge thing for juniors back in the day. That's something it could do really well. But I think there's a lot of building the AI into aspects of the systems that are just going to take time. The things that I've seen it is done quite effectively yet. Being in a conversation, being in a meeting, analysing that and creating action points, really good from what I've seen. Apart from it got my name wrong on one of them, but let it go on that one. But it's that's really good. And generating or rephrasing emails, rephrasing Word documents, like for tone, etc. The stuff that if you ever play with ChatGPT, it could do. I'd say it's already pretty good at that. It's just building into the other areas.
The main things I've been using it for is, let's just say, that the email response is back. So I've generated so many email responses now, and you just type in, you don't have to be really specific. You can say, okay, reply back to this email and suggest sometimes next week that I'll be available between these hours, include these things, etc. Generate. And the best thing about it is, if you don't like what it's generated, you can refresh. But if you think, oh, okay, well, that's really good, but it's missing something, you've got the option at the end to add. So you can say, I like that, but add this into it, now generate. And then, you can just say, okay, and it goes directly into your email like that, which is great. But again, I think even though you've got those capabilities, you've still got to have that little bit of human touch and making sure that is, in your tone of language. So you don't want to be sending emails out that don't sound anything like you through the use of AI. So you've got to have a bit of a play about with it and make it work for you. But I think it's a really good feature, for sure. Yeah.
Yep. I think that the quick wins, I think, are exactly that. So it's speeding up any email response, anything creative. If you want to do your marketing, just helping that speed, as you said, creating some images that would normally take forever to do. I mean, LinkedIn is now just a wash with AI generated images that still have a feel for that person though. And that's a great thing. It's like, oh, you see the image, you go, I know who's created that because their style and the way they use AI.
So this is the funny thing. So one of the things I'm using it for at the moment in a lot of detail is the social media planning. So all of the marketing side of the business, I'm really excited to do this actually. So my next day where I'm working on the business, I'm going to be going through how I can use that to market the firm. And I've already started doing it a little bit with the time that I've got. But we've, as you say, auto-generated images that have been very specific to our firm. Or I've used ChatGPT to suggest topics. One thing it cannot do is, because the data is not up to date to a certain point, it can't do SEO. So you can't use it to say, what are people searching for today? And you've got to use other platforms for that. But I use something called vidIQ, which is another piece of AI software on top of the likes of YouTube and TikTok, etc. So I can see live data of who's searching for what key topics people are talking about, engaging with, etc. So I use that to then produce the topics, and then I use ChatGPT to write the topics, and then I edit it slightly in my own way And then I use Social Pilot to then mass post that across different platforms at certain times. Or I edit the tune slightly to that platform and post, which saves hours, absolutely hours.
And we thought it was all you,
yeah.
Rebecca. We thought it was all you. It's just yeah. Well, in the end, look, it's still your tone, isn't it? It's all your creativity. It's your thoughts, your actions. You're just using, as we have done, tools to speed it up. And that's the thing where people go, "Oh, we're losing our identity." We're not. We're just changing how we deliver it. So
you could, you could do that. You could go the other way and just auto-generate the hell out of everything, but that will remove you. That will remove that human element. I think it's key that you still have that input.
And I think we've seen that. We've definitely seen the AI-generated comments and posts flooding social media. That's pretty obvious to pick up nowadays, but and quite entertaining in itself, because it's like, guess who? Like, guess the AI in the room. But let's pivot into some of the other systems. So obviously we had earlier in the year, we've had the likes of Xero, Sage, and QuickBooks all talk about their AI assistants built in. We've had Just Ask Xero, which is an AI tool built into Xero. You've got the Sage one, which they're building out across their entire platform. And similarly, from an Intuit aspect, you've got Intuit Assist, which is building into the likes of MailChimp and QuickBooks. And I think we're still waiting for a bit of that really to penetrate the UK market, but we know it's there, and it has, out of all three, probably the most potential to deliver, because of the amount of products that Intuit have. But are you going to be covering any of that in your series? Is that something that you feel is going to kick off? I still think it's very early on.
I think it's too early days right now. But at the same time, let's just say that you're using QuickBooks and you've set up QuickBooks for a client for the first time, and you're using the bank facilitation. You're pulling in bank fees. It currently has the option to go through and almost say, well, we know that users are posting this to this nominal, so would you like this to be posted here? And if you say yes to one thing, it can then post numerous things to that same place, which would save you hours again, and you can mass do that. So that's already in place as is. Xero, as you say, with the bank fees, it can, system generate, or it can say, we know that's been posted to such a place, do you want that here this time? Yes. And it will also fill descriptions and the nominal based on what you've already posted. So that's already there. But in terms of the dashboard and learning and predictive, full predictive analytical review that I would be looking for, it's not there yet. But I'll be documenting.
I think that's still quite a way off, because I think that the accounting systems probably about 4 or 5 years ago went, we'll be able to do this, and then they started trying. It's like, actually, accountants are pretty smart. Like, it's hard to replicate what we do. But I think one thing we also need to pick up on, as you just talked about, is other aspects of AI, like using the large language models, using the power of it, building it directly into the platform to solve certain problems. Intuit released that kind of predictive thing as you're setting up a system. But we've also got the likes of Genesis AI that have rolled out, I guess, a new version of data capture tools. So what I guess they're trying to do is replace the likes of Dext and AutoEntry and those other platforms where it's just extracting information out of a document. It's doing it in a way that's predicting, actually, how do people use this? Where should this go? Based on what's written in the document itself. And that looks really powerful. It's had a huge amount of exposure in the accounting conferences it's been at. So that, I think, will balloon and will go a long way. And I believe that if we go back 6-7 years, Xero predicted that they'd be able to automate bookkeeping by now. They've not managed to do it, but the new tools show promise to be able to deliver it. So I think that will be where everything goes. And what we're going to be covering in the Digital Digest over the coming months will be what you can do with some of these AI tools, talk about what's coming, talk about the theory behind it. We obviously, this is a long form, generally 20 minutes episode, not as quick as Rebecca's 10 seconds. So if you need to ingest this information really quickly, please do follow Rebecca's new TikTok series. And if you haven't followed Rebecca's finance tutorials, definitely something to pick up on as well. But we have approached, I guess, the end of our show. So I feel this would be a great place to wrap this up. Hopefully this episode provided you with valuable insights that you can take forward. Please do check out the show notes for links to the digital disruptors, SB Digital, and everything we've discussed, including Rebecca's new platform. If you do want to catch future episodes, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you look out for the release every Thursday morning. We look forward to speaking to you next week.